Good afternoon. If y'all ready, we'll kick it off and get started. Mr. Hilliard, Mayor, Mr. Baker, glad y'all could make it. This is our proposed half-cent sales tax infrastructure improvement plan meeting, and I'd just like to start out by recognizing some of the guys and the ladies that has worked real hard on this. Chance Powell's our operations engineer, Charlie Cotton, stormwater, Buddy Wright, our work program manager, and Buddy will also be presenting today's meeting, him and Melissa Thompson, our finance director, Anna Hudson, our staff engineer, and Cindy Price, staff. And with that, I turn it over to Buddy. Let him get started.
Thank you, Wilmer. Just want to take a few minutes this morning or this afternoon. We done one this morning, so and just go through infrastructure improvement plan that Public Works was tasked to do. So and discuss the proposed half-cent sales tax. So just to kind of frame how we got from how we got to where we are today. Just want to hit a few high points on how we got here. On July the 11th of this year, the board was approached, and there was some discussion took place at that board meeting to look at a half-cent sales tax to cover infrastructure needs in the county. So, at that point, the board wanted to look at it, a long-term plan, a way to fund these improvements. And so they were asked to, or Melissa was asked to research the referendum and bring some information back to the board. So followed up in April, Melissa come back to the board and presented information about the half-cent sales tax for infrastructure needs. And the board directed Public Works to continue to work on a plan, and that culminated in the April 25th meeting. There was another discussion. The board looked at the plan wasn't this detailed at that time. We were still putting it together, and they asked us to continue to put the plan together, meet with them, and then schedule some workshops to take some public input and show the public what we'd come up with. So that that basically gets us to where we are at today with this project. So now the purpose or the topics that we want to discuss today is what is the surtax, the regional transportation surtax, what it can be used for, and then we want to give you some information concerning the half-cent sales tax, and then we want to drill down a little deeper and look at the actual work program and what we propose, what the proposed funding, where that funding would go with these projects. So again, the purpose of today's meeting is to get information out to the public, show the project lists, and we've got some up here that drill down a little deeper than this slide, and that we're proposing for the half-cent sales tax. Define what the tax is and what's required for it to be on the ballot, and to discuss the proposed projects a little more in detail. And we'll certainly entertain any questions as we go through this. It won't take just a few minutes, and then we'll entertain any questions y'all have. So just real quick before we get, I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of Public Works and what we're tasked to do. We have a little over 1,000 miles of road in the county, and to be specific, there's 382 that are unimproved, and there's 657 that's paved. So roughly a 60-40 split between paved and dirt. Public Works is also tasked with providing all the maintenance that comes along with that, the mowing, the grading. We try to hit all our dirt roads every week. Have a grader down them every week, and any culvert repair, roadside drainage. We're tasked with all of that. There's approximately 209 bridges in the county, and we've still got a number of single-lane wooden bridges out throughout the county, and we've over the years been replacing them with double-lane bridges to improve safety and all, but we still have a number of those out there. So with that being said, just kind of an introduction. So I'm going to turn it over to Melissa and let her talk about the regional transportation surtax, and then when she's done, we'll get more back into the projects.
Just to briefly discuss what the transportation system surtax is, it is a tax that is allowable under Florida statute. Basically, Florida statute provides for several taxes that can be levied by a county government, and if it's not on the list, it simply cannot be levied. This is one of the ones that can be levied if it is approved by a majority of the county electorate, which is part of why we're here today, is so that the county electorate can hear this plan for improvements within the county. It would be collected on items subject to the sales and use tax, just like you're used to with any other items you buy. It would apply just the same way. There has been no decision made. I do want to point out there's been no decision made regarding putting this on the ballot. This is simply to give you information about the tax and some of the infrastructure needs within the county. It would be imposed on the normal items just like it would be exempt on the normal items that are exempt from tax, such as general groceries, medical supplies, certain services. And since it is a discretionary surtax, it would only apply to the first $5,000 of each single item of tangible personal property purchased within the county. So it would cap at a $5,000 sales price. So if you bought something for $50, there would be a 25-cent surtax. If you went up to $5,000, it would cap out at $25. If you bought something for $25, $50, or $100,000, it would still be $25. And what we've been tasked to look at is a 5-year plan. So it is a tax that can sunset. Any sunset would be provided for in the referendum language and in the ordinance language. The ordinance mirrors the referendum. So it would be for a specific period of time. It would be designated for a specific purpose. This is a transportation sales tax for operation, maintenance, construction, development of roads and bridges. Non-residents would help pay for this infrastructure. The current estimate is that 65% of all spending is generated by tourists. So the tourists would help to fund these roads that they use. Decisions are made on the local level. The state would really not be the ones with the input on where these dollars went. The county could look at the needs within the county and decide how to allocate these dollars. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Betty to talk about some of the improvements that would be proposed.
Thank you, Melissa. So now we want to get into the actual transportation improvement categories, and we'll start with the dirt to pave improvements that we propose through this plan. There's approximately 42.6 miles, right at 43 miles. Now, all of what we're proposing here it all has existing right-of-way. There's not going to be any right-of-way acquisition period. These are all platted right-of-ways there. It's more of the highly dense or highly populated areas, such as, Indian Woman, Chat Holly, that area down there. The right-of-ways there. You basically just turn that over to an engineering firm, begin the engineering. You can move, into permitting and construction. Then, and the same way with the roads in the north that we've recognized on here. The right-of-ways there is platted right-of-way. Fairly simple to move it into design construction. So, we took that because we didn't want to throw something out. We wanted to throw something out. When we put it on the street, we wanted to make sure we could get it accomplished, and that's too hard to do if you don't have the right of way. You're making assumptions there that you can get it donated, and we've learned in the past that doesn't always come to fruition. So with that being said, that first, the dirt to pave improvements, that 43 miles, that's $21.5 million of the total budget. So, and like I said, we still have 380 so dirt roads miles in the county. So that would get rid of a portion of them. The next slide is just a representation. We done this road last year. Just a representation of what a pre versus post dirt to pave road looks like. Now, the way this is put together, we look at contracting near about all this work out. So, as county wouldn't be doing all the work. We may do little pieces of it, but a majority of it would be proposed to be contracted out. The next project is a capacity project, and if I know y'all kind of keep up with the board meeting, and this has been an important topic for the board, is how do we reduce congestion around 38, 395, and the board has begun to look at a Seagrove bypass. Atkins has come to the board. That's the engineering firm that's working on this, and the board has picked a preferred alignment. Now, Atkins will be coming back to the board here in the next couple of board meetings, providing some further information, on this bypass. But the whole crux of this is trying to provide a capacity improvement project down there that can get traffic and try to relieve some of the congestion down in that part of the county in that specific area. Now, this is a pretty big part of this. It's, the total of $12 million for this road, but we feel like that's a very important need for the future. It's something that that we really feel like needs to be done, and we've obviously included it in this project, or this proposal. And if you look at that, the next slide, that is a generic alignment that the Atkins will come back to the board with the preferred alignment. That's just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. It would basically take off a 395 somewhere maybe around the fire department north or south, and then come out on 38 east of the 38 395 intersection. So the next category is bridge construction, and as I mentioned earlier, we have approximately 209 bridges in the county. That's a lot of bridges. If you look at the other counties in the state of Florida, we're a county that's got, we're upper end as far as how many bridges you have. We have a lot of them. So the way we developed this list is we looked at, we have our bridges inspected every year. It's done through the state of Florida DOT. They inspect them, they rate them. We've looked at some of that data. We've looked at some needs that we have. And that's how this list come about. And I think there was 25 or 26 proposed new bridges on here. There's 3 of them there along 30A, 4 of them along 30A that, we've had an issue here or there on some of these, so we certainly want to see those done, and the rest of these are scattered throughout the entire county. So that portion of the proposed infrastructure improvement plan was $13.6 million, and that's out over the 5 years we're projecting. The next slide again is just a representation. That's a single lane bridge. This is up on Ingalls Road. We'd replaced this one last year. Just a single lane bridge. You upgrade it to a 2-lane concrete bridge. And there's another picture of Crooked Creek before and after, just to kind of give you an idea of what those improvements would look like. The next category is resurfacing pavement management, and this piece of the proposal is a total of $7.5 million. Now, the biggest portion of this is what we're proposing is a pavement conditioning index and a pavement management plan. And what that is, they work together. A pavement conditioning index is, we're proposing $300,000 to come up with a pavement conditioning index. That's where somebody goes out and actually gives every paved road in the county a grade, and kind of gives you the health of that road, kind of gives you an idea of where, what that road looks like structurally, and then you take those numbers and you work it into a pavement management plan. And what that pavement management plan does is look at that PCI, and it determines where your dollars need to go so that you can best protect the investment the county's put in these paved roads. So, Instead of just resurfacing, you may be able to catch some of these roads before they get to a point they need to be resurfaced. Treat them with some material to increase the longevity of the road. And theoretically, as you move down into the pavement management plan, into the outlying years, your dollars you're putting toward it's stretching further, because you're catching your roads before they deteriorate to a point where you've really got to spend a lot of money on them. So that's the theory behind the PCI pavement index. A lot of other counties, bigger counties, use it. And when you build this thing, a pavement management plan can basically be tailored around how much the county wants to contribute to that plan. So we're proposing $1.5 million. Right now we're spending about half that on our resurfacing efforts. So we would like to do that and explore some other technologies out there to maybe catch some of these roads before they get to a point where they have to be resurfaced. And then there's a list of roads there that we've recognized I was looking at doing next year that basically are just in need of some resurfacing right now. So we would do those and then build that pavement management plan, and then what would be done in the future would be tailored on the results of that PCI data. So and again that piece of it is $7.5 million. Then the last category we had is the milled asphalt rejuvenation, and I'm going to take a few minutes and just explain what we're trying to accomplish here. Is during the FEMA events, y'all remember the flooding that took place in 13 and 14. The county sustained in a neighborhood of $9 million worth of damage to the roads. As normal, FEMA comes in and helps us with that. And in every other storm prior to this one, if you had dirt on the road, you put dirt back on the road. It was as simple as that. We were trying to look for a way to, try to make the roads better long term. So we had some staff members that negotiated with FEMA, and we convinced them that let's take a number of these roads and put milled asphalt on them instead of just putting clay and dirt back on them that's going to wash off the next storm. So through this process, there's right now we're at about 130. Time we get done, there'll be 140 to 150 miles of milled asphalt that's been placed on these roads in the last 3 or 4 years. So with that, and FEMA covered 75% of that, state covered 12.5%, and county covered 12.5%. But that's a huge investment that's been put in our roads, rural roads. So what we wanted to try to come up with a way that we could protect that investment, into the future, and put something on it that we can get some longevity out of this effort. And there's some products out there that you can put on these roads that help that milled asphalt bind together. So what we had done was budgeted some money to go and try to do that, try to protect this investment that the county's just put in. And in theory behind that is, those milled asphalt, there's less maintenance required on them. Now, there's still maintenance required on them, but it's less than having to pave them having to grade them every week. So, the longer we can get that stuff to bind together and stay together, the better off we are as far as maintenance, having to pay for the maintenance of the road. So, that was the theory behind that, and that's why we thought it'd be an important part of this program. And in the couple of slides there, it just gives you an idea of what time and effort's been put on these roads. That's one that T.R. Miller before, and that's a nice road now that the county was able to get put down, and we would like to try to invest that or protect that investment. There's another picture similar to the T.R. Miller Road is Andrews Road. And there's one more at Thad Bell. So if y'all been out and about, you've seen a lot of that milled asphalt being put down. And one of the questions that we've got a lot is, if there were any excess funds that becomes available, so that, what we just talked about, those 5 categories were what we were really concentrating on. And we get the question, well, if there's any extra money, what would that go for? And, that's a board decision. Now we've recognized the need for pedestrian facilities. Commissioner Anderson had brought up at the last board meeting to, right now there's an effort to put together a pedestrian facility master plan for the entire county, starting with South Walton. And obviously that's something we would like to fund, put some money toward. Now, again, that's a board decision, board priorities, but, that's one of the things that, if there were additional monies collected, that could be going to do to benefit the residents. So the total projected revenues, is $60 million a year, and we broke it up into $12 million a year over 5 years, and those are that is the half cent plus the public works capital budget. If you combine them both, it comes to $60 million, and that's how we've laid this 5-year program out. So with that being said, we've kind of went through this pretty quick, and we've got some, I know y'all had got some of these earlier, but there's some, to drill down to, if you got a specific road in mind, we've got some more information here that, we talked about some phasing and all, but there's some more information here that drills down to the actual road names, the links, and when they would be under construction or proposed design and construction. So any questions and discussion, we certainly welcome that. Our phone number there at Public Works, y'all are welcome to call us after the meeting anytime if you want to discuss this. And then there's been an email address set up. It's halfcent@co.walton.fl.us. And basically that's to take comments. Anybody's got any comments that they'd like to share, with Public Works or the board, y'all send them there and we'll forward them to the commissioners. So with that being said, we'll certainly entertain any questions anybody's got.
Okay. That's J.B. Hillard. This chart I have here on the funded FEMA.
Yes, sir.
Is that something new, this chart here, that some of this money will go for, or is this something that's already been done?
No, sir. This is, remember when I spoke about the FEMA improvements we've done since 13 and 14? These are the roads that we've actually put the milled asphalt on.
Okay.
Now, if you notice, we're at 133. We still got about 30 to 40 roads to finish. We had 484 roads that were damaged after that storm, and we whittled down to about 40 of them is what we got left. But at the end of that total, and we didn't put milled asphalt on every road. FEMA wouldn't allow us to do that. We tried to pick the greatest population density, traffic volume. We tried to use that as where we wanted to put this milled asphalt, but when we're done, it's probably going to be around the 150-mile range as far as how much milled asphalt we've put on, and that's a list of the roads we've put it on so far.
Well, we appreciate y'all doing that.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm on some of those roads now, and they've been doing some work down at some of the boat landings along the river, and it's really made an improvement down there. The next question I have on Oakwood Hills, I get that mixed up with. Mm-hmm. Is that the one at Mossy Head or down toward Freeport?
That is, yes, sir. Oakwood Hills is, Mossy Head right along 90, north of 90 there.
Yeah, there's roads everywhere back there.
Exactly right. And there, there's a lot of homes being built out there. A lot of people live there, and that's where the right-of-way is available. And what we didn't want to put a road on here, put anything here that, if we were going to put our names on it and put it out here, we wanted to make sure that we could, produce. And if we don't have the right-of-way, there's no guarantee you can produce. So these all have right-of-way, and they're all able to be built.
Well, I was going to ask you about the right-of-way, because the way I understand it, the work that you've already done, you do have the right-of-way in hand, or are you pretty close to it, or what?
Yes, sir. On all that proposed dirt to pave, we have the right-of-way. Now, on these... Another thing, on these FEMA roads, all we have on most all of this is just prescriptive easements, basically just where the grader goes.
Right.
So that's why we feel like this is important, because some of these roads right here, just to be frankly with you, I don't know if they'll ever be paved, because you've got to get right-of-way to be able to pave them. However, if you can treat that milled asphalt, that may be the best that road can get, you know, and we've already seen that reduce our maintenance cost, and I got to give it to FEMA. They were a big help in that. You know, most of the time we're complaining about the federal government. They actually helped us on that one, you know, and you know, so that's the theory behind that. We'd want to protect that investment, and then where we have the right of way, actually pave the roads.
Okay, let me ask you one more question. Of course, I realize y'all as staff, there's no politicians here, so
Right.
I can't get into the political thing to amount to anything. But how do you envision this thing developing on what you actually going to do? Is the whole plan here? This is what you're proposing for the $60 million, basically?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're doing?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. That's the plan we rolled out. That we're confident if the voters, if the board decides to put it to referendum, and if it were to pass, then we're confident we can take that and get it on the street and get that product done.
Okay. Some years ago, I realize I'm talking to staff. There was a bond that was passed here in Walton County. All of you are familiar with it, I'm sure. And a lot of things that were promised and so forth, and roads selected, and they did have a list. And some of it worked, some of it didn't. And a lot of people got a long memory about that. And that's going to be a major issue when this comes up. And I've already spoken to a couple of commissioners about it. And y'all hear it probably every day, how this thing's going to pass or not. And I won't get really too much in the political part of it.
Right.
I realize you work for the politicians and the people of Walton County. So that's all I have. Anybody else got a question?
Well, and Mr. Hilliard, to that point, if I can take a second, and I wasn't at Public Works when that happened, but I've got 100 calls since I have been at Public Works, and they said, well, my road was on a list, why didn't it get paved? Well, the reason it didn't get paved because there was no right of way. And so that, when we come to you on this, that's why we were real careful to, anything we put out here, there's platted right of way so that we don't have to go back down that road.
I do remember the right of way issues before, and a lot of people wanted it, but they wanted, they shot themselves in the foot, not put it that way.
That's
so
right.
The county would not do it unless they got the right of way, and I thought that was a good policy.
Yes,
to
sir.
be honest with you.
I just want one question for you in watching the news in the evening. I'm Tom Baker. Is the proposal that Donald Trump's making for infrastructure in the nation, and whether we've taken into consideration what that might consist of, if we've asked any lobbyists or whatever to see if that might impact what we're trying to do right here, because I remember the last time we tried this shovel-ready projects that the shovel wasn't ready. If any of this could be used, if that comes to tuition, and I'm certainly hoping he's going to stand by his word and really put some money in infrastructure spending.
Yes, sir. And I don't know with Melissa. I haven't seen anything where any money's been offered through the county as far as federal grants that would pertain to that. I haven't seen anything. But again, back to the shovel ready. That there's a few roads here shovel ready, but I just want to be clear that we can get this done, but 90% of this, 95% of it, it's got to be designed first. Even if we have the right of way, we still got to get it designed so that we can hire a contractor to go do it. So just want to be clear on that. But I haven't seen any. I don't know if Melissa has.
We have not seen anything so far on that, anything that could be potentially coming through. Hope that it does, but we haven't seen anything yet.
And the reason I asked is that from what I understand, it's probably coming to be discussed after the tax issue. So it sounds like we should be ready for that, and if that's an alternative, and surely we should receive some money from that, But thank you for your time.
Yes, sir, Mr. Baker.
Obviously, one of the questions is asked on every corner of the county is what's this going to do for me, and so I asked that for my city. Obviously, I think our city's probably in a lot better shape than the roadways across the county, most of those. But so this is a county-wide effort. You've not drawn any boundaries, I suppose, into where help may be needed.
We have just been directed to look at the needs and
Yeah.
where the
And I'm not the person to tell you what the city needs, because I'm not in Public Works.
Right.
But I'm just saying that I'm going to be asked that question. You know, when this is presented, they're going to ask me, so why do we want the half-cent sales tax? So, you know, if we're not in line, we don't need help like somebody else. That's a good answer. But that should be the only answer. It shouldn't be because you're in the city, not in the county.
Right.
Okay.
It's JB again. Along what the mayor was talking about, so what I see on here, there's nothing included in the PUNIAC or the municipalities. Is that correct? It's all out in the county.
That is correct. And you know, we looked at the county road network. That's
what I thought. I didn't see anything for Freeport or PUNIAC or Paxton. And but is Paxton in? Is anything in there in Paxton? It might be for Paxton.
I don't believe so.
I don't know for sure. Okay.
And I would definitely recommend that if there is a particular project somewhere that there is a need, that you would approach the board. As we start this, we're really just starting this process of moving this forward, that you would approach them, let them know that there is a need there.
Well, some of these roads, as y'all know, are sort of joint county, city, especially in the PUNIAC. There's quite a few of them, little short stretches, and that came up a couple of years ago.
Right.
So there might be some issues there, and maybe that's what the mayor's alluding to.
Well, if again, I'd invite y'all, the phone number and email on the screen. If y'all come up with any other questions, anybody else have any comments or wants information, y'all feel free to contact us. I think Lewis has already got this on the website. This particular, the bigger handouts y'all got may not be on the website, but I'll get with Lewis. These are available. If nothing else, y'all call us. We can get them to you. And it may be we look at trying to get those on the website the little bit, as you drill down into it a little more. So we appreciate y'all's time. Appreciate your comments. Yes, sir.
If the original date that was brought up when they began talking about it was August the 8th for a referendum, but I would say at this point that would probably be pushing it. It has to be advertised, I think, for about 6 weeks. So that would all depend on how quickly they take it back up, but I would say the earliest would be sometime maybe in September. It would take a little while for it to run through.
All right. Yes, sir. We appreciate y'all coming.